In a game called Gemini Rue, they have this convenience function where when you click somewhere to walk, you can press escape, and the character just appears where you wanted him to go. So it basically allows for faster transportation of your character, and God, I really wish they had it here. It's one of those things where you kind of get spoiled after you play so many different games, because you're like, wow, this is the coolest thing in the world. Why hasn't every game implemented this? Because I'm trying to get, I want to go all the way over here, and it just, it just takes a long time because the screen takes forever to move, and it's amazing how knowing other things helps you appreciate certain additions that actually do work. After countless minutes of conversation, I have finally figured out what I'm supposed to do here. And this is different than previous succession of storyline moments in this game. I came to this part of the world without really having, like, a lead brought me here, but not an item. Previously, I discussed how items help with the progression of a story. In this case, it wasn't an item. It was simply getting to a place because you knew a company was stationed here and you need to investigate the company. There was no items involved. I got here, and after a ton of investigating through conversations, I finally figured out what I'm supposed to do. That's a new way of storyline progression in these types of games, and I gotta include that in my notes when I design a game like this. Is sometimes item drives progression of the story, but sometimes when there are no items, you just have to figure out how to do it through conversation with other people. And in this case, this guy communicated to me that he wants to bust out a person an operative that he's working with in this cell, and so he needs a detonator to blow up, because this truck is full of dynamite, and he just needs to use a detonator to blow it up so he can bust open this thing and rescue the person, which I'm certain will cause no, reaction by anybody in this entire town. And obviously, a detonator, the best place to look for a detonator would be the Quadamonte mining company. So I know that my next objective is to enter this place and talk with the lady in charge here, avoid that guy that doesn't wear pants, and figure out how to get detonator. But it's interesting, there was no item that drove me here or item to help me figure this out. It was simply just investigating a lot. And so I'm thinking, maybe if you were to develop this into a model of how to effectively develop a storyline over a period of time, one way to get a chunk of story to happen, to start out, is just by quest giving, investigating, finding someone who knows or needs something, and then you figure out what to do from then. And then once you have an item to pursue, you find the item, and then that will lead to another chunk of story. And then it might happen that you find that item leads to another chunk of story. Once you exhaust the purpose of that item, you will probably transition to another section of the story, which is either pursue another item, or you will acquire another item, and once you exhaust the first one, which will then open up another chunk of storyline. This would be a really cool thing. I tried to pull down this chart because I know this is an important piece of information. I'm trying to find evidence, some reason to give this mining company lady to convince her to give me a detonator. And I knew that this chart would have something important on it, because this general and the archaeologist were discussing something about it when we walked in. So I pull it down.
Senor.
Sorry, I forgot.
And he told me to not touch it. But I can keep doing this.
Sorry, I forgot. Sorry,
I've officially found the robot aspect of these games. I'm going to start calling this the robot aspect of these games. As soon as the characters' interactions stop being human and start being this mechanical repetition, they have become robots to me. Because this guy, at this point, his patience would have been tested minutes ago, and he would have thrown me in jail or kicked me out. But because I can keep doing this, the only explanation for this is these characters are actually robots. Only robots would allow this to happen. So I'm going to start saying this. As soon as I run into any type of social interaction where this is allowed, I'm going to call it the characters have become robots. That's how I'm going to distinguish between realistic social interactions and mechanical social interactions. And obviously the solution, the only solution to this is somehow design some type of failsafe into the code so that if a character does this more than once, or just enough that where the person's patience is being tested, something happens. The player is not just allowed to do this, that some type of repercussion is programmed into this type of scenario. I just barely realized something a feature of this game that I love, and I just never made the connection until now. Something about something about adventure games that has been kind of frustrating is you'll get an inventory that's incredibly complicated and just crazy like this, right? All these items, right? And when you get stuck, you don't know what you're supposed to do with some of these items. And the solution could be like offering one of these items to something or someone that you would have never expected. But the game handles this in an interesting way. Well, this is only with people, but if there's something that this person would be interested in, or if there's something that you want to talk about with the person, it automatically comes up when you try to converse with this person. So of all those items I have, the only thing that is of interest, the only thing I should be concerned about is this detonator that I have in my inventory. Anything else I don't even need to worry about because it doesn't come up here. So the game automatically takes whatever it is in my inventory that would be of interest with this person and gives me the option of talking about it with this person. It just shortcuts that entire sifting through all the items, clicking on it, putting it on, giving it to this person, seeing if he likes it, and then just shortcuts that entire process and saves me a lot of time and stress. Now, I don't think it does this with objects. Like, for example, if I needed to use this detonator with an object, I don't think it does that. I still think you have to go through the whole... There's this, for example, right here. If there was some type of object that I needed to use and pair with this cell window, then I would have to still, use it, try to figure it out, and then go on to the next one. And I think they have to do that because you can't do this shortcut thing with objects, because that would basically, there would be no puzzles involved. But with people, I kind of like it. It's a shortcut, it just saves time and stress, and I think it's a cool feature that I will most likely have in any game that I develop. And here is another ingeniously animated, beautifully animated character item interaction sequence. The animation, check it out.
Listen to me, Miguel. You give me that rope, and
look how the rope is animated when he passes it to me.
Of course. My friends have a boat ready to take me upriver. But how are you going to break out of here with just a short piece of rope?
I'm not sure, but I'll think of something.
If your plan doesn't work, will you let me hang myself in peace?
You see how the rope was caught by the bars, and so it kind of slipped over it? That was awesome. But the only weird thing was he stuffed it into his pocket like it was a string. But that was just so cool. That I love that. I love how kind of floppity flippity while he took it down, untied it, passed it over. Just beautiful animation. So I break free from this gel.
Don't look.
Blah.
You talking to me? Yes,
Blah.
I'm talking to you, Batman. A word to the
Blah.
and the next person who sees it is.
Blah.
General, I am happy to report.
You idiot, not them. The other American and the French woman. They're the ones.
They're the ones! Complains like a little boy. They're the ones! They run off on this boat. Right? And you think, oh, they're safe. Going off into the sunset. Like, yay, we're safe! Let's go on the boat! Here we go! And they're chilling in the water for no reason. Helicopter finds them. You don't even know if they're in there or not. Drops what looks like a blob of water, but is a bomb.
When I recovered consciousness, I was alone, washed up on the riverbank. My head was aching fiercely, and my mouth tasted like a swamp. But I followed the sound and discovered a treehouse in a nearby clearing.
That was the most confusing turn of events I have ever experienced in my entire... First off, I didn't know if they were in the boat or not. I'm wondering why the boat's even chilling there. Suddenly, as soon as it blows up, before you even have a time to react to it blowing up, this guy's talking, like, as I recovered. So, okay, all my concerns, all my things have suddenly been answered without even any preparation. Then he says, I followed the sound. What sound? I know a sound now, but there was no conversation that led to or realization of the sound. It was simply, I was on the shore, I was thinking about die. Then I followed the sound. What sound? It jumped from event to event so quickly. I'm just left like, okay, now I'm at a treehouse, and someone's playing an organ in a treehouse. If this game had been this type of jumpy, sporadic, out of nowhere type of game from the beginning, then I would have expected this. But this has been a very cohesive, story-driven, sequential game that made a lot of sense logically, everything, and all of a sudden, bam, this just happened. And it just felt like my brain was just taken for this, was punched 15 times by this, by the screenwriter, or whatever you'd call someone who writes a story for a game.